Okay, get ready for this one. I've got a stat here that honestly sounds almost too good to be true.
Oh, yeah. Hit me with it.
All right, forget all the fancy creams, the complicated diets for anti-aging. New research is showing that just 90 minutes of resistance exercise per week
Uh-huh. An hour and a half.
is at just that. It's associated with reducing your biological age by nearly 4 years.
Wow. Okay, that is genuinely game-changing.
Right.
Because that forces us really to completely reframe how we think about strength training. It's not just about looking good or, lifting heavier weights anymore.
It's more fundamental.
It really is. We're talking about strength training basically entering the realm of applied cellular anti-aging medicine. It's that significant.
Okay, so let's unpack that. How do we actually get those kinds of results? That's what we're diving into today, these advanced training methodologies.
Yeah, stuff the pros use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to unlock the technical secrets that elite coaches, top experts are using to get way beyond those generic, just watch the clock workouts.
Right.
And we promise, by the end of this, you'll understand methods like velocity-based training, eccentric overload stuff that, frankly, 99% of people in the gym just haven't heard of, let alone use.
Mm-hmm. And it's about maximizing results, sure, but also preventing that burnout cycle. And injury, too.
Oh, the burnout is so real. I think everyone can relate to that problem, right? We love HIIT, high-intensity intervals, because it's efficient.
It saves time, yeah.
But too much of it just pushes you straight into what they call sympathetic overdrive.
Yeah, that wired and tired feeling, constantly drained, but you can't relax.
Totally. Or, you're lifting heavy, things are going great, and then boom, plateau. You just hit a wall.
And you don't know why.
Exactly. So this deep dive is about getting that technical precision you need for, continuous adaptation, but also for long-term health. Real vitality.
Okay, so how are we tackling this? It's a big topic.
We've broken it down into 3 key areas. First, we're going to optimize HIIT, high-intensity intervals, using precision data. Forget the clock.
Okay. Data, not just sweat. I like it.
Second, we'll dig into how heavy strength training works for longevity, the actual anti-aging mechanisms at the cellular level.
The why behind that 4-year stat.
Exactly. And finally, assessing movement quality, how to injury-proof yourself before you start piling on the weight.
Crucial. Gotta check the engine before you race it. Let's start with HIIT then. Intensity.
Right. Let's stop judging interval effort just by how much clock time passed or how sweaty we are.
Because those are honestly terrible proxies for what's actually happening in your body for adaptation.
So what's the better way? The cutting edge.
It's velocity-based training periodization, or VBT. This is where things get really smart.
Okay, VBT. So instead of using heart rate zones, which, let's be honest, always feel a bit delayed.
They're lagging indicators. Your heart rate takes time to catch up to the effort. VBT uses real-time data.
What kind of data?
Movement velocity data, how fast you're actually moving the weight or your body during an exercise. And it uses that data to adjust the intensity, the volume, right there in the session or between sessions.
So it's tailored to how you feel right now.
Precisely. It focuses entirely on your current neuromuscular readiness. If you walk in feeling tired, maybe you didn't sleep well.
We've all been there.
Right. The weight feels heavier, the bar moves slower. VBT picks that up immediately and tells you, okay, back off the load today. It prevents you from digging yourself into an overtraining hole on those off days.
That sounds amazing.
Mm.
But practically, how does someone listening right now actually use VBT? Do I need, expensive lab gear?
Well, you do need some kind of velocity tracker. There are devices, even apps now. They're becoming much more common and more affordable than they used to be.
Okay.
But the concept itself isn't super complex. Your workout structure shifts. It's built around speed targets, not just hitting a certain number of reps.
And how does that change the programming week to week?
That's where things like undulating HIIT patterns come in. This is pretty sophisticated stuff. Instead of just linear progression, trying to do the same thing but heavier each week.
Which often leads to stalling.
Exactly. With undulating patterns, you might alternate the work-to-rest ratios or the intensity domain. Maybe one day is focused on speed strength, the next on strength speed. You vary it daily or at least very frequently.
So you're constantly changing the stimulus.
Right. And the data shows these undulating approaches produce better adaptations. You keep shocking the system just enough, but without accumulating that deep chronic fatigue.
Okay, this next part about VBT sounds almost surgical. It's called neural drive optimization.
I used to be that guy, grinding out the last few ugly reps just to hit the number. You're saying that's actually bad.
It often is, yeah. If your goal is to maintain maximal motor unit recruitment, basically, the quality of the signal from your brain to your muscles.
Getting the best muscle fibers firing.
Precisely. You don't just stick to a predetermined rep count pushing through bad form. Instead, the interval, or the set, is terminated when your movement velocity drops below a certain threshold.
Okay, like what kind of threshold?
Typically around 10 to 20% draw from your best or baseline speed for that exercise and load. So let's say my first squat rep is super explosive, moves at 1 meter per second. If I hit a rep later in the set that only moves at, say, 0.8 meters per second.
You stop. Set's done. Even if you felt like you could grind out one more.
Why? What's the benefit of stopping early?
Because maintaining that velocity preserves neuromuscular quality under fatigue. When you push past that significant velocity drop, you're not really training high-quality power anymore. You're mostly just accumulating junk fatigue.
Junk fatigue, I like that term.
Yeah, you're just making yourself tired without getting the desired training stimulus. And honestly, you're increasing your risk of injury because your form breaks down.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And speaking of fatigue and recovery holes, let's circle back to that sympathetic overdrive thing, being stuck in fight or flight. How does using data help us avoid that?
This is where autonomic recovery monitoring comes in. It's about looking at your nervous system state. We mainly use heart rate variability, or HRV.
Right, I've heard of HRV. It's the variation in time between heartbeats.
Exactly. It gives you a really good snapshot of how balanced or stressed your autonomic nervous system is. Is it leaning towards fight or flight or rest and digest?
So you track your HRV.
Yeah, usually first thing in the morning. And you combine that objective data with maybe some simple subjective feedback like how you slept, your mood, soreness.
Like a little wellness questionnaire.
Right. And putting those together helps you determine the optimal recovery time you need between those really tough, high-intensity sessions. If your HRV is in the tank one morning,
You back off.
you back off. You lower the intensity, maybe shorten the session, maybe take an active recovery day. It makes your training truly personalized and responsive day to day.
Okay, that level of precision for daily training is huge for performance. But let's zoom out. You mentioned strength training as like cellular medicine. What's the actual science behind heavy lifting changing your lifespan? Does this kind of smart training protect us long term?
It absolutely does. And the molecular mechanism that really underpins that shocking 4-year biological age reduction statistic we started with, it's telomere length preservation.
Telomeres. Those are the caps on the ends of our DNA, right?
Right.
Like the plastic bits on shoelaces.
Exactly like that. They protect the DNA. But every time a cell divides, those telomeres get a tiny bit shorter. And when they get too short, the cell either stops functioning properly or it dies. That shortening is a key biological marker of aging.
So strength training slows that down.
The evidence suggests that, yes, regular resistance exercise helps preserve telomere length, slowing down that ticking clock at the cellular level.
Yeah.
It's not just about bigger muscles. It's about protecting your very DNA.
That is genuinely profound. Cellular anti-aging medicine, like you said.
Mm-hmm. But beyond the cellular level, the changes in the nervous system, the neural adaptations, are also incredibly important and surprisingly long-lasting. This brings us to something called the LISA study.
LISA study. Okay, what did that show?
The LISA study was crucial because it demonstrated that heavy resistance training, specifically using loads in the 85 to 95% of your 1-rep max range.
So proper heavy lifting.
Proper heavy lifting, yeah.
Yeah.
It created unique neural adaptations that didn't just fade away after a few weeks or months. They persisted for years. This isn't just temporary muscle memory we're talking about.
Wait, how long did these effects last?
Get this. Just 1 year of this kind of heavy training led to maintained leg strength 4 years after the subject stopped the specific training program.
4 years later, just from 1 year of training.
Yes. It suggests some kind of permanent or at least very long-lasting remodeling of the motor units in the nervous system. The strength gains essentially get hardwired in.
Wow.
That provides a lasting buffer against age-related muscle and strength loss, which is why resistance training is just non-negotiable if you care about longevity.
That persistence is incredible. Okay, so if we want the biggest bang for our buck, the highest stimulus in maybe less time, you mentioned something called eccentric overload periodization, focusing on the lowering part of the lift.
That's right. The eccentric phase, the lowering or resisting part of the movement. strategically overloading this phase, often using supramaximal loads.
Super maximal, that sounds intense. What does that mean exactly?
Remember, it means using loads that are actually heavier than what you can lift concentrically, like in the lifting phase. We're talking maybe 110% up to even 130% of your one rep max.
Whoa, 130%. How is that even possible? And how is it safe?
Well, you're stronger eccentrically than concentrically. You can control more weight going down than you can lift going up. But yes, it absolutely requires strict control, often specialized equipment like devices that can add resistance only on the way down, or definitely a knowledgeable spotter or two. It's not something to jump into lightly.
Okay, noted. But why do it? What's the benefit of that extra complexity and risk?
The stimulus is massive. This type of overload preferentially stimulates hypertrophy in the type 2 muscle fibers, those big, powerful, fast-twitch fibers that give you strength and speed. And it also dramatically enhances neuromuscular control.
And is it more efficient?
That's the compelling part. Some research suggests that doing just one dedicated eccentric overload session per week can yield strength gains similar to doing 2 traditional strength training sessions per week.
Wow, so potentially half the time for similar strength results.
Potentially, yes. By really targeting that high tension lowering phase, you get a very potent stimulus.
Okay, super important warning time, though. For all the people listening who love both their intense HI sessions and their heavy lifting, we need to talk about concurrent training interference.
Ah, yes, the interference effect. Very important.
I know so many people, myself included sometimes, who finish a heavy squat session and then immediately hop on the bike or treadmill for like 45 minutes of hard cardio or HIIT. Why is that specific combination potentially undermining your gains?
Because endurance exercise and strength exercise trigger different and somewhat conflicting molecular signaling pathways within the muscle cells. AMPK versus mTOR for the biochem nerds out there.
Okay, don't need the full lecture, but they conflict.
They conflict. If you activate both pathways intensely back to back, they can interfere with each other. The endurance signal can blunt the muscle building signal from the strength training. You essentially limit your potential for maximal strength and muscle growth.
So you're shooting yourself in the foot, basically.
Pretty much. The advanced protocols, the smart way to do it, is to separate those intense HIIT or cardio sessions and your heavy strength sessions. Give your body time to process one signal before you send the next.
How much time are we talking?
Generally, a recovery window of about 6 to 8 hours is recommended between the two types of sessions if you want to truly maximize the adaptation from both.
Okay, 6 to 8 hours. Good to know. All right, so we know how to apply the load smartly, how to manage intensity and recovery. But none of that matters if the machine itself, our body, isn't ready for the load right.
Okay.
We need to assess movement quality first.
Exactly. You wouldn't put a race engine in a car with bent axles and expect it to perform well or safely. Loading a dysfunctional movement pattern is just asking for injury. We need diagnostics.
And the gold standard diagnostic in the industry seems to be the functional movement screen, or FMS. Tell us about that. What is it?
Think of the FMS as like a basic systems check for your body's movement capabilities. It's a standardized battery of 7 fundamental movement tests, things like a deep squat, hurdle step, shoulder mobility test.
Okay.
And it's designed specifically to identify what we call kinetic chain dysfunction.
Kinetic chain dysfunction. Sounds serious.
It just means identifying significant limitations in mobility or stability or asymmetries, differences between your left and right side that might not show up when you're just testing pure strength, like a 1-rep max.
So hidden weaknesses.
Exactly. Maybe your ankle mobility is poor, so you compensate by letting your knee cave in during a squat. Or maybe your left shoulder doesn't rotate internally as well as your right. These compensations, under load, are often where injuries happen. The FMS helps you spot those weak links before they break.
That makes sense. But this brings up a really interesting point that challenges how a lot of us think about exercise form. We're always chasing that perfect, rigid repetition. But is that actually the goal?
That's a great question. And the research actually suggests maybe not. Optimal, healthy movement isn't about robotic rigidity. It actually involves controlled variability.
Controlled variability. So not sloppy, but not identical every single time.
Exactly. Think about walking or running. Every single step isn't perfectly identical. There are tiny variations. Trying to force your body into the exact same rigid pattern on every single rep of an exercise can actually lead to overuse injuries because you're stressing the exact same tissues in the exact same way over and over.
Huh. That's counterintuitive, but makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do we train for that?
There's actually something called movement variability training. It involves deliberately introducing small, controlled variations into your exercises.
Like what kind of variations?
Maybe slight changes in your foot stance during squats, or altering your grip width slightly on presses, or varying the tempo slightly. These small changes challenge your motor control system, enhance motor learning, and make your movement patterns more adaptable and resilient, less prone to breaking down under unexpected stress.
Interesting. More adaptable, less rigid. Okay, one last piece on assessment. Testing movement under fatigue. Why is that important?
Because most people move pretty well when they're fresh, right? It's when you get tired, metabolically stressed, that the cracks start to show, your technique degrades.
Yeah, those last few reps of a hard set often look very different from the first few.
Exactly. So advanced coaches are increasingly using biomechanical analysis, maybe video analysis, or even sensors to see how an athlete's movement patterns change under fatigue. Where do they compensate? Where does form break down first?
And that tells you where the injury risk really lies.
Precisely. It gives you critical insight into their specific weaknesses under physiological stress, like during the end of a tough game or a grueling workout. That's often when injuries happen, so knowing how someone moves when they're gassed is key to preventing them.
Okay, this has been a ton of information. VBT, HRV, telomeres, eccentrics, FMS, variability. If we synthesize all of this, what's the ultimate key that ties these advanced precision systems together?
I think the umbrella concept is autoregulatory training systems. That's really the future, or arguably the present, for high-level training.
Autoregulation, meaning the system adjusts itself.
Exactly. These systems integrate everything we've talked about. They take your subjective feedback, how you feel, how you slept, combine it with objective data like your HRV score that morning, maybe your VBT numbers from the warm-up sets.
Okay.
And based on that complete picture, the system helps you or your coach modify the planned training load, volume, or intensity for that specific day.
So it's truly daily personalization.
It is. It ensures you're always training in that sweet spot, pushing hard enough to adapt, but not so hard that you overreach and burn out. It treats the body like the complex, dynamic system it is, checking the dashboard every single day.
That's the goal. High-tech, individualized, responsive training. Okay, time for our hidden bonus. This one challenges a really old fitness dogma, something we've all probably heard.
Oh, I like these. What is it?
We used to think that only traditional cardio, running, cycling for long durations, could really improve your mitochondria, your cellular energy factories.
Right. Cardio for mitochondria, lifting for muscle. That was the old view.
Well, the science is showing that's not quite right. Prepare to be surprised.
Okay.
The sources reveal that heavy resistance training, especially when you incorporate that eccentric emphasis we talked about, can significantly enhance mitochondrial biogenesis. That means building new mitochondria. And it can also improve their oxidative capacity. How will they function?
Wow. So lifting weights, particularly heavy or eccentric-focused lifting, can actually improve your cellular energy production, similar to cardio.
Apparently so. It busts that myth that you have to do hours of traditional cardio for metabolic health. Strength training plays a crucial dual role building strength and power and supporting deep, fundamental metabolic health at the mitochondrial level.
That is huge. Strength training really is the full package.
It seems like it.
Okay.
Okay, let's do a quick recap. 3 main actionable takeaways people should remember from this deep dive before they hit the gym next.
Okay, number 1. Ditch the clock for your HIT. Start thinking about velocity-based training. Focus on quality reps defined by speed, not just grinding out junk fatigue. Train smarter, not just harder.
Got it. Smart HIT using VBT. What's number 2?
Embrace heavy lifting and consider adding some strategic eccentric work. This isn't just for muscle. It's tapping into cellular anti-aging by preserving telomeres, and it builds that long-lasting neural strength the LISA study showed. Think longevity.
Heavy and eccentric for longevity and lasting strength.
Yeah.
Okay. And number 3.
Don't guess. Assess. Use tools like the Functional Movement Screen, FMS, to find your weak links before they cause problems. And don't chase rigid perfection. Train for controlled movement variability to build a more resilient, adaptable body.
Assess, don't guess, and train for variability. Love it.
That shift from being reactive to proactive is really the core message here.
Which leads perfectly into our final provocative thought for you to chew on. We just talked about FMS scores and movement analysis being predictive, right? They can identify athletes at higher risk of injury before it happens.
Yeah, the predictive power is getting pretty good.
So this whole approach fundamentally shifts fitness away from just reacting to injuries fixing things after they break towards truly targeted preventive care. So the question for you is, how can you start using some of these predictive ideas or tools, even simple ones, to stop guessing and start training smarter, more proactively right now?
Good question to ponder.
Absolutely. Okay, next time. We are switching gears completely. Forget fitness for a moment. We are diving deep into the absolutely surprising history of the world's most addictive substance.
Ooh, intriguing.
And maybe even more shocking is why governments secretly, or maybe not so secretly, rely on you consuming it. The tax data we uncovered and the ethical loopholes involved.
You honestly won't believe it.
Okay, you've got me hooked for that one.
I'll definitely subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss that deep dive. And please share this episode with someone you know who needs to seriously upgrade their workout game.
Yeah, spread the knowledge.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.